Hi, this is Father Tom Page again, pastor of St. Jude and administrator of the parishes of St. Anne and Ignatius in Baldwin and Luther. Today we're outside in front of the Shrine of Mary here at the campus of St. Jude. You can't see it, but in the background is Lake St. Jude. Okay, it's actually a pond, but Google Maps calls it Lake St. Jude, so I'm going with that. Today I'd like to read an Easter reading, but it's actually today's feast. I'm actually taping this on Saturday, and today's feast is the Feast of St. Mark. And the gospel for this feast is an Easter season reading. It's Jesus appearing to the 11 disciples at the time, 11 apostles. And it's from the Gospel of St. Mark, as it should be on the Feast of St. Mark. Jesus appeared to the 11 and said to them, "Go into the whole world and proclaim the gospel to every creature." And so they went forth and preached everywhere, while the Lord worked with them and confirmed the word through accompanying signs. The Gospel of the Lord. Today's weekend readings are wonderful examples, starting or highlighted by the story of the two disciples from heading back home to Emmaus, and Jesus greets them along the way and walks with them and explains the scriptures to them as they're getting discouraged. They'd heard some news about maybe he rose from the dead, but were downhearted, the gospel says. But when they recognized Jesus, fittingly in the breaking of the bread, then immediately, as he vanished from their sight, immediately they went back to the other disciples, 7 miles away, made that trip right back. They needed to gather. They needed to get together. And it's been the case ever since. Today, we still have that need. And today we still gather. And we find creative ways to gather. Now raise your hand if before the pandemic you had ever heard of or used things like Zoom. It's a whole new way of recognizing how important it is that we are connected, because it's in that connection between followers of Christ that we are connected with one another. And so as we spend some more time separated physically from one another, and as we spend some more time physically not being able to receive communion and being in communion with Christ in that way, we continue to find ways that God is working within us, and we continue to find expressions of God's presence with us, so that we can go out literally everywhere to all the world to share that good news. This week, just in the last couple of days, the bishop has let us know that it won't be safe for us to be gathering together for Mass in the next 3 weeks, until at least until after the 17th of May. At that point, as that time gets closer, the civil and the church authorities will be looking at when is it safe and how can we gather together. I'm sure that time of getting back together, having Mass together, is going to be somewhat unusual and gradual time. We won't be putting 400 people in church on Saturday night or Sunday morning at 10:30. We'll be more spread out, and there'll be few of us able to gather at any given time. And so we're working on those sorts of things. Recently, I put in an order both for St. Jude and for St. Anne and Ignatius for hand sanitizers at the entrance of churches. Hopefully they come in time for the beginning of our new way of gathering together for the ancient way of communicating with God and God communicating with us. The bishop mentioned in his letter that the obligation to attend Mass on Sunday, regardless when our Masses begin, has been set aside for us until at least the end of June. Recognizing that probably, even if we're able to start celebrating Mass publicly, it probably won't be in a way that we're all able to get there. And probably we won't all feel comfortable getting to Mass with a number of people. So realizing that things will be a lot different, we'll try to focus on what's the same, and more importantly, who is the same? Our God and our God's community. Things like ordinations are being affected. So this month, one seminarian will be ordained a deacon. And usually that's a big ceremony and a joyful ceremony, and the cathedral is just packed with people. And this year, it'll be a more private ceremony. And that will take place probably with just his family and immediate friends. In June, the first weekend of June is scheduled a ordination of 3 priests. And I suspect that ordination will look a lot different than it has before. We're getting accolades from the geese who are flying over. I'm not sure if you were able to hear that. So no decision has been made exactly about the timing or the setting of that priest ordination of 3 new priests, but we'll be finding out more about that. But the bottom line is 3 more young men will be serving us in the Church of West Michigan in the Diocese of Grand Rapids beginning in June. One thing people have asked me about are funerals right now, so I thought I'd just kind of mention what typically is happening with funerals. Of course, we can't do the typical funeral where people come to Mass and we gather and we pray and we go up to the Brophy Center and have a lunch and then to the cemetery. Typically what's taking place is a very small group of people, immediate family, meet at the cemetery, and the burial prayers are prayed, and then when we're done with that, we all disperse, and we'll gather again hopefully during the summer. And so funeral masses, or those memorial masses, will take place when we're able to gather together and when it's convenient for families. So that's typically how funerals are being held now, just the timing of those events, the burial now coming first and more immediately, and then, or within a few days, and then the funeral mass will take place later. So keep connecting in however you can with others, how important that is, and how important it is that we recognize that it's not just a human connection. It's us connecting with our God, and our God connecting throughout the world with us through our connecting with others. Continue the work of God. Continue the work, as St. Mark pointed out, that Jesus gave to all his disciples, to go everywhere, to go out throughout the world and spread the good news, the gospel.